This video is brought to you with the support of Truefire. Learn, practice, and play with Truefire. Hi, this is Keith Williams. Welcome to 5-Watt World where we're... Wait, I'm back from Europe. Ah, that's better. Hi, this is Keith Williams. Welcome to 5-Watt World where we're interested in helping you get the most music from the least gear. I often look at my own journey of guitar collecting and wonder at what guided my choices along the way. I realize that I've fallen into many of the most common types myself, and I thought it would be interesting to come up with a list of them to share. As always, these are offered in good fun, and I'd bet most of us fall into one of these camps, or maybe some odd mix of a few of them. How we get to where we are now is past, and where we'll get to in the future has yet to be determined. So let's look at ourselves right now and run through the list of 9 types of guitar collectors we never want to become. If you enjoy our videos, make sure to subscribe, or grab a t-shirt, hoodie, or a Stomp preset pack to support what we do. And to become a bigger part of 5-Watt World, sign up for the Friends of 5-Watt on Patreon. There's a friend level to suit any budget. The links are in the description. Okay, let's do these as a countdown. Number 9, afraid to play. These collectors often buy the guitar, look at it in admiration, and then put it back in its case until it comes time to sell it again. At which point they can probably use the original photos of the guitar as it has had no life of its own in the meantime. Maybe it was very expensive, or simply very expensive for them. Subcategories of this collector include any type of high-priced guitar with vintage and boutique leading the pack. These collectors often refer to guitars as pieces of art and never refer to them as tools. This collector often doesn't spend anywhere near as much time playing as they do shopping for the next perfect guitar to add to the hoard. I always chuckle when a guitar ad says that the guitar lived under the bed its whole life. It reminds me of a dragon in a cave sleeping on its pile of gold. To these folks, I usually say that you have to get out and play these things. Without at least a few scratches on the pickguard, is it even a guitar? If it's lived its life in a closet, isn't it by definition something you didn't need? Let's get it marked up. Let it express your journey as a player. Or think about collecting something else, like, coins or stamps. They take up a lot less room. Number 8, the trader flipper. These collectors revel in buying at retail and selling at higher prices afterwards. They aren't really in love with guitars so much as they are the chase and just in it to make a buck. They enjoy putting one over on the marketplace, gambling on the fact that the recently released limited edition guitar is going to have a spike in price right after the initial run sells out. They bought the Robin Ford limited edition PRS and the John Mayer Silver Sky Lunar Ice in the short run and then watched the reverb ads to see what would happen next. They may have come to guitars for the same reason as the rest of us, but somewhere along the way, they lost the love of guitars as instruments and see them simply as a way to satisfy their addiction to the sale and to the trade. You'll see them scouring the buy and sell spots on Facebook and reading Craigslist as if it was the horse racing forum, and they've figured out a way to circumvent the firewall at the office so that they can regularly check their watch list on Reverb. If they gig at all, you can count on them always showing up with a new-to-them guitar, always on the lookout for an admirer, and glad to go home having sold it off at the end of the show, considering it a good day. Number 7, spending every dollar on guitars. These folks buy guitars to the point that it causes financial strain in their life or their relationships. The defining characteristic here is the stress this creates. If you can afford the guitars you're buying and it can go almost unnoticed in your budget, that's great. But there's this weird undercurrent of status from overspending to buy guitars. It's as if it's some badge of commitment to the hobby to spend beyond our means. It feels a little bit like our obsession with being busy or our jokes about not getting enough sleep. We chuckle along with popular opinion, but deep down there's a sinking feeling that we're just going through the motions to be one of the crowd. These folks are buying PRS Wood Library guitars, but they don't even have a bed frame. They just get a new high-end set of replacement pickups, but the tires on their car are shot. Often this behavior is accompanied by the questionable old jokes about sneaking guitars into the house past the watchful eyes of their wife. Or their greatest fear is that when they die, their wife will sell the guitars for the prices that they told them they paid for them. Guitars should be a part of life that's fulfilled. Guitars are not going to fulfill your life. We are not our guitars, and we are not what we own. We're what we do, and having great tools doesn't always build a great house. Build your skills and let the tools follow along with the level of that skill. Number 6, the elitist. These collectors look down on anything that's not high-end, acting the part of a gatekeeper to the hobby, throwing disdain on anything short of their standard. If your vintage Fender was built after '64 or your matchless C30 isn't a Samson era, they're just not interested. Often guitars not built in the US need not apply. Generally, their standard is unrealistic and is often more an expression of socioeconomics than any real enthusiasm for guitars. You need to be careful to not go seeking the definition of your personality in your guitars, or in anything for that matter. Clearly, a guitar is never going to make up for a below-average player. And if you look down on other people based on that adopted holier-than-thou attitude, well, that's just sad. There are amazing guitars in a wide range of prices, and people are on different paths and get different things from very different guitars. Jimmy Page played a '59 Les Paul, but Jimi Hendrix played off-the-rack Strats. There are guitar heroes that played the anointed few famous guitars, but there are also great players that did it all on a Squier or an Epiphone. And it's important to recognize these differences in their journeys. I try to balance the content on the channel in this regard. I have a couple of amazing Collings guitars myself, but I spend the majority of my time playing a 2010 PRS Mira, a guitar that when it was released was specifically marketed as a working man's guitar. Honestly, over time I've become much more interested in guitars that are within reach of most players. If you start measuring the price of things and the number of weeks of salary that they cost, you lost me. I'd argue that we need to respect everyone's dedication with the tools they have and respect those tools regardless of price. I reached out to Truefire to be my sponsor because I've used them for years. I'm currently having fun revisiting Robin Ford's Blues Revolution course. With over 2 million users worldwide, whether you're a beginner, intermediate, or advanced level player, Truefire has lessons to enhance and inspire your playing. Get 35% off courses using the promo code 5watt35, or like I do, sign up for the All Access Pass to use the entire Truefire catalog. I really like Truefire, and I think if you give them a shot, you'll like them too. Use the link in the description to support 5 Watt World and get some great lessons at the same time. I'd like to thank Truefire for their support in making this video. Number 5. The other side of the elitist is the guy that hates on everything that they can't afford. This is really just another form of snobbery. To me, a snob is someone that applies their tastes or likes to everyone else's choices. Both of these snobby types are over-attaching themselves to the types of guitars that they personally like. This road will never lead to happiness, as ultimately guitars are just tools. You shouldn't compare yourself to other people that have more expensive things than you do. Just because theirs are things that you can't afford doesn't mean that you can't appreciate them. There's a lot of guitars I'll never own, but I really appreciate the craftsmanship and history they have. This is the classic, you don't need to own everything. That's beautiful. Try to enjoy the fact that others can afford those guitars, while at the same time lean into enjoying where you are. Great guitars can be had at every price point these days, and this wasn't always true. Number 4, the value player. A player that has a hard maximum that they will pay for a single guitar that they never exceed. You'll find that they know more about the history and current production runs of Squier Vintage Vibe and PRS SE than the average collector might know about the history of the Burst Les Pauls. Bizarrely, this limitation of spending on a single guitar seems to be contradicted by them often owning a large number of relatively inexpensive and often problem-ridden guitars. Interestingly, if they pooled their less expensive pieces together, they could easily trade up to a guitar at the next level. But seemingly to do so would violate a self-imposed guideline of their musical journey. They delight in finding a guitar that is even less expensive than the one that they're playing that has the same shape as a storied guitar of old. Their favorite phrase is, "This one punches well above its weight class." Number 3, the minimalist. They take all of their money to buy the best guitar that they can and use only that guitar. Alternately, they might have a very small and highly curated collection of guitars. There's logic behind each and every purchase in that small cadre of guitars, and they are delighted to recount for you the process they went through and the reasons for deciding to buy it. While openly being dismissive of this approach, you might secretly wish that you had their level of discipline or focus. They often fall into one of two camps. Either they are only concerned with knowing the history and uses of the guitars that they own, and every variation thereof, or through years of study and their search, they somehow know more about other people's guitars than the owners do themselves. Knowing them, you realize that being a collector is less defined by how many guitars you own, and more by the amount of time we put into deciding what it is that satisfies us. If they own more guitars at present than their internal standard, it weighs on their mind, and they look at every instrument as if its days are numbered in pursuit of owning just the few that matter. Like any other identity here, the minimalist is in danger of missing a guitar that might be great for them while they marinate in the identity they've built for themselves around owning those one or those few. Number 2, the enthusiast starter pack. Most often, new to the hobby, they collect the guitars that everyone should own. They dive into buying the guitars that are popular on the forums and in the videos in hope of gaining entry to the club of guitar collectors. They often realize later that they don't really like any of the guitars they've bought. In the long run, we can only hope that these folks find their way to an instrument that really speaks to them, at which point a purge of those also ran will ensue in favor of the newly found favorite. And number 1, the vintage fanatic. The vintage fanatic takes a deeply passionate and historical approach to their collecting journey. They take great joy in acquiring a well-conditioned example of a guitar and will argue that modern guitars just don't have the character of those from the past. They might treat those guitars as a little more precious than the modern player, always having a rag in the case to wipe the guitar down from headstock to bridge at the end of every rehearsal. They often have exquisite taste that is well beyond what they can afford, but they are a great friend to have to consult before dipping a toe into the water of buying your first vintage piece. This person is a romantic and beyond getting into guitars feels that they should have been born in the early 1950s in either Southern California or Kalamazoo, Michigan, so they could have helped Leo or Ted sort out their first solid body guitars. Those are my 9 types of guitar collectors to never become. Remember that I'm not trying to say that anyone's journey isn't valid. I'm just encouraging all of us to keep our minds open to the discovering the guitar or guitars that will make us the best music we can. Shop less and play more. That's the goal. And while you're at it, find some other people to play with too. If nothing else, you'll at least have other people to talk about your collecting obsession with. It's a big, beautiful community out there. Get out and enjoy it. If you like this video, you probably enjoy my video on great guitars that suck to own. First, I need to thank John Cordy for his amazing playing on an original 68 SG Special he borrowed from his buddy Francisco up the road. I need to thank Teddy Baldassar for his YouTube watch review channel. He and his staff inspired this video. I'm interested in why we collect things, and learning about watch collecting has been a fascinating window into the souls of collectors of all kinds. I want to thank everyone that stopped by the online store and picked up a t-shirt, hoodie, hat, or a Stomp preset pack. And in particular, I need to thank the Friends of 5W on Patreon. It's the guitar community I've always wanted. You're all 5W world. I just make the videos. If you enjoyed this video, hit the like button. And if you like this style of video, then hit the subscribe button too. Thanks for hanging with me until the end. Until next time, I'm Keith Williams. Thanks for being a part of the 5W world.